Okay, welcome back. Again, I'm Dr. Phil, and it's just such an honor to be a part of this consortium and to come along beside you and have some conversations that we're having. But how do we grow ourselves? How do we build ourselves? The 5 languages of the workplace, of appreciation in the workplace. A great book. Dr. Gary Chapman and Paul White does a great job. And we're going to kind of walk our way through this book. And you've got the book to read. You've got some notes to follow with me. But I'm going to talk about section 1, which is the foundation of this book. And basically the concept is simply a very important question is, why is feeling appreciated so important in a work setting? Why does it matter? I mean, hey, you get paid to do a job. Just do your job. You get paid to do your job. And again, as I said earlier in our teaching in the introductory, that job satisfaction, all the studies out there say it's never tied to money. Because you ask anybody that's making $20,000, they want to make 30. If somebody's making 30, they want to make 40. Hey, if you, how much money would it take you to be happy? Well, I'm making 40, I want to make 50. It's always about more money. Job satisfaction is tied to the value system. Am I being valued? Am I being appreciated for what I do? Each of us want to know that what we're doing really matters. And again, studies show that employees are more likely to burn out when they don't feel appreciated or emotionally supported by their supervisors or by their coworkers. And the results of relationships when they're not nurtured by a sense of appreciation, what happens? What goes on in a workplace environment? What happens in a team, a teaching team or a management team when the relationships are not being nurtured by appreciation? Well, number one, team members experience a lack of connectedness. In other words, we stop really connecting with each other relationally. Well, you do your job, I'll do my job. And we don't understand the importance of us having the satisfaction. Remember, we'll spend 15% of our lives working in a workplace. And we lack that connectedness. Secondly, workers can become discouraged, and we see that often. You know, you go to work, you're getting paid what you said you're going to get paid. The paycheck's coming in. But why is it after a few weeks or a few months or a few years, people are dreading going to work? They're discouraged. Why? There's no connectedness. There's no value. There's no appreciation. Thirdly, employees start complaining. Yeah, you see that all the time. And then team members begin to think about leaving the organization. In other words, again, maybe this ain't the right fit for me. Maybe I don't belong here. Maybe I can't do. And again, a lot of times it's not because you can't do the job. You were trained to do the job. You kind of know your skill. Again, it goes back to development. Relationships are not being cultivated and developed, and you don't feel that value. You don't feel that appreciation. So secondly, the concept is for recognition and appreciation to be effective. Now, here's what Dr. Gary Chapman, Paul White said. They must be individualized and delivered personally. In other words, trying a general saying, hey, thanks to everybody for such a great job that you did, that has little impact on people who are needing that value, that needing that appreciation. Oftentimes, it seems very insincere. It lacks in the sincerity. Well, they just did that, and because again, we need that individual appreciation and value. Thirdly, one of the most frustrating things for a boss or a coworker is to give appreciation and not have it appreciated. People say, well, I don't know why. I tell them all the time they did a good job, and I praise them all the time that their work was great. But oftentimes, the frustration is there because sometimes appreciation misses the mark. because we all tend to communicate in the ways that are meaningful to us. In other words, we speak our own language. If my appreciation language is words, then studies show I have a tendency to give words to other people, because that's what I need to be motivated and appreciated. So I'm assuming that's what you need. But maybe yours is gifts. Maybe yours is time, whatever. So a lot of times when you miss the mark, the message is not appreciated because the employee, the coworker, the person, they didn't hear it in their language. And it may not mean anything to them. It may be considered to be a nice gesture, but one's deeper need for appreciation often remains unmet. So again, bosses get frustrated, co-workers get frustrated. Well, I tell them that, but again, it's learning the language. So again, letter B, understanding the return on investment from appreciation and encouragement. Return on investment in the book, ROI is what they kind of refer to, return on the investment. It was one of the measuring sticks regarding professional performance. Again, in other words, if the appreciation doesn't add to the health of a company, why would a manager want to do it, right? I mean, hey, if this doesn't increase the productivity, if it doesn't lift the morale, why in the world would I want to do it? So they talk about the return on the investment. But studies show that given appreciation has a very real impact on the health and the performance of a company. In other words, when appreciation is given, you feel valued, you hear it in your language, whatever your language is. We're going to talk about that. We're going to break it down. All of a sudden, the health of the company, the performance of that company, the productivity of your team, in this consortium, often you have teams, you're trying to accomplish something together with somebody else. What happens? It increases. It gets better. Some reports showed the concern of companies not being able to find quality employees today. I mean, that's one of the things happening in our culture today. And some of the chief issues were a less than adequate trained workforce. That was part of the employees who did not have a good work ethic. Some people, they don't have the consistency of showing up. Sometimes half of the job is done by just showing up. Sometimes motivation is 90% perspiration and 10% inspiration. You're showing up and doing the work. And the bottom line result was that companies began to find out retaining quality employees was critically important to their success. But to be able to retain people was difficult, because it raised the question of how do you keep good employees at your company? Now again, the separation between a manager and maybe a person working out in the field and maybe the office worker versus the field worker, however you want to kind of picture that in your mind. When the study was given, Gallup did this, 89% of managers believe that employees leave for more money, while in reality, 12% of employees report leaving for more money. 88% of employees said the reason that they left wasn't money, it was lack of value, lack of appreciation. Again, Gallup reports that almost 70% of the people in the United States say that they receive no praise, no recognition in the workplace, and it contributed to them moving on. Now again, it wasn't that they didn't have those meetings where everybody's in the same room and, hey guys, we just got through a great, oh, you did awesome, good hand clap, high five somebody, da-da-da. Listen, companies do that all the time. But what was missing was the language, the value, the appreciation of that individual person. Managers know that one of the greatest costs to an organization occurs when an employee leaves and you have to replace that person. I mean, it's costly. You got to go through the whole process of retraining and redoing. In this book, it notes that motivating by appreciation, it can reduce employee turnover, it increases productivity, it creates a greater satisfaction for the individual. In other words, to be able to keep people in a room, keep people in a company, keep people in a consortium, having the value system there, having the appreciation there. Now again, you're important. It isn't always just top-down stuff. You know, again, it's so easy sometimes if you feel like you're here and there's people over here, it's so easy sometimes to point to the top. Well, they don't do that. But again, I want to challenge you. You and I have to learn, how do I value and appreciate that person that I'm working with every day, that I'm along beside them every day? How do they feel that appreciation? So when we talk about this concept, we talk about the importance of it. We talk about how it lifts us up, it encourages us, it moves us into greater things. And we're going to come back at the next section, and we're going to look at section 2. We're going to kind of break down the 5 languages of appreciation, and we'll kind of get a picture of what these 5 languages look like. So we'll be right back.